Welcome to InDesign Secrets, episode 328. I'm David Blatner, and I'm here along with my fabulous co-host, Anne-Marie Concepción.
Thank you, David. Remember that InDesign Secrets is the essential resource for all things InDesign. I-99. And it's brought to you by the Creative Pro Network.
Indeed. So what the heck are we going to cover today? Well, we're going to talk about the InDDC file format, otherwise known as InDesign Cloud Documents,
Right.
all the pros and cons about using Cloud Docs. We have an interview with Eugene Woo, who's the CEO of Venngage, fascinating online publishing solution, which has a lot of accessibility aspects to it and AI and all kinds of stuff. Definitely interesting to check out what they're doing. And the obscure feature of the week.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Reset preferences on Quit.
That's right. Very few people even know it's there.
I know. I can't believe it's taken so long for us to talk about that. But that's going to be a good one.
That's a good one. All right. So the main topic is InDesign Cloud Documents. First, I want to comment on the ever-increasing number of letters after the period that Adobe inflicts on us.
Yes.
I mean, INDD was already a pain because it's 4 letters. Now it's 5 letters. INDDC.
Yes.
They couldn't just say INDC. What would be wrong with that?
That would be way better. I like that. INDC.
Yeah.
But next year they're going to be adding every year they add another letter. So it's going to be INDDC3 and then INDDC31 and then 314, 31415.
SOEC sort of editable cloud. Okay.
Anyway,
all right. So a cloud document is because, again, Adobe thought that we didn't have enough cloud terms to use when we're dealing with our software on a day-to-day basis. So they added another kind of cloud file. It is just like Photoshop's cloud document and Illustrator's cloud document. And I think Premiere or some other apps also have cloud documents that allow you to save your document in your own private cloud space, kind of like where your CC library assets are kept.
And I think a lot of people don't even realize even now, that Photoshop and Illustrator let you do that because they're so used to it. The habit is save to my hard drive, save to my drive. And it's really taken a long time for people to start understanding, wait a minute, I could save to my drive, or I could click the little save on cloud,
save to the cloud,
and save it up there.
I'd be surprised, honestly, if those users didn't realize that you could save to the cloud, because the programs are relentless in reminding you to save to the cloud. You want to save to the cloud? True. You should save to the cloud. Hey, this is a good time to save to the cloud. And if you don't want to save to the cloud, then you have to, click a bunch of buttons.
That's true.
All right, save to your hard drive.
But how many people? Maybe they know about it, but how many people actually do it?
Right.
I don't think it's that many. Still, I think that Adobe is trying to get us to think in this terms. Save your documents to the cloud. Why?
Right.
Because you could use
it
anywhere.
It's for collaboration. Is the end game? Is to allow people who are working remotely, or even next to each other, I would assume, on their own computers, to collaborate on the same exact file. Not a copy of the file, but the file itself.
At the same time, even if possible. So it's Google Docs. Everybody at Adobe looked at Google Docs 10 years ago, and they were like, oh, I get it. People working on the same document at the same time, or Microsoft does it too.
Google Sheets.
Right. And so this idea is definitely the end game, but we're not there yet, especially with InDesign. We're not even close to that.
Right. So Photoshop and Illustrator have been kicking this around for at least a year, and it was only with the latest update. No.
Oh, it's actually
no. It's
a beta.
It was there before, right?
But there's a beta right now of Photoshop. They have a beta that allows you to do collaborative, simultaneous editing. But it's just in beta.
But let's wind it back a little bit, because on its own, you don't do collaborative editing.
No.
So the cloud, that Photoshop feature is in beta because Photoshop cloud documents don't allow you to collaborate, out of the box. And the idea, though, is that when you save your document to the cloud, here's a simple way to think about it. that you can be working at work on something and then save it to the cloud, and then you go home and on your laptop you can log into your Adobe account and there are your files in the cloud.
Yep.
In that way, it kind of works like Dropbox. All right. So I guess that's another, competitor that Adobe has their eyes on. How come Dropbox is taking all this collaborative workflow from us? We can have our own solution. On the other hand, Adobe did drop their own close Dropbox solution. Creative Cloud Files no longer exists.
Right. So
that gets people confused too. Like, I thought that they canceled Creative Cloud or Cloud Files. No, they canceled Cloud Files, but they still have Cloud Files. Don't you get it?
That is so true. Okay, so on the one end of the spectrum, InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, they all have this basic functionality now of you can save to the cloud. Just save
you can save your document to the local hard drive, or you can save to the cloud.
Yeah.
And you'll see the button in every save or save as dialog box.
Save to cloud. And then you get a different kind of dialog box. You can then save up there. You can open from the cloud. Same thing with the open dialog box, open from the cloud.
True.
And there's some other cool things you can do there. But just to be clear,
open cloud document.
On the one end of the spectrum, there's the basic cloud documents that we have today. What we were talking about a moment ago around simultaneous collaboration, that's the end game. Going back to your comment, that's where we're all trying to get to, but it's going to take some years to get there.
Right. In the meantime, there are a couple features that are handy, even though we can't do collaborative editing yet.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned, this one reason is to use it kind of like Dropbox, that you have access to your documents anywhere. And one thing to keep in mind is that when you save to the cloud, you'll see a little icon of a cloud next to your tab of the title of your document and the percentage that you're scaled in. So that's one way to realize, like, where is this document and where am I saving it to? So you can still continue working when it's saved in the cloud. And one feature why you might want to save to the cloud right from the get-go is that the cloud saves versions of your file. Right?
Yes.
So we don't have...
I think this is the best feature, the best use of cloud documents is it just has built-in version control. So talk about that. Sorry.
When you're working on a cloud document, it saves a copy of your document every time that you do a save. Okay?
Yep.
And it saves it as a version. And you can access the versions through a panel in InDesign. If you go to the window menu and go down to version history, you'll see, and if you don't happen to have a cloud document open, the panel will still open, but it says the version history of cloud documents will show here. And there you can click on different versions and see your document in its different iterations. And you can make that the current version, or you can save previous versions, like if you want to save good milestones, like here it was when I sent it to the client, and here it is after I did the client's first revisions. You can do that as well. So that you can only do with cloud documents. You don't have to do a save as version 1, version 2, version 3. The cloud will take care of that for you.
I think this is such a great feature. The ability to, it's almost like undo past when you save and close, and the idea that you could undo, you could go back to these earlier versions is so helpful. I do think Adobe missed an opportunity here, because if you go to the window menu, there's history, which you now have the history panel, and there's version history, which is this cloud doc thing. Doesn't it seem like they should have just merged these into one thing where you could be like the history of this document?
That would make sense.
Right, and you've got the immediate history and then the version history. But anyway, you don't have that. It's two separate panels, and it is really nice to be able to go back and go, oh wait, there was that version where I had this headline, but what happened? What changed? You can just easily go back to that and see it. Or even grab that again, right? You could just open that up.
Not only that, but each version that appears there in the version panel has a 3-dot menu, a meatball menu, that you click, and you can edit the information about the version. You can change the version name, and you can add a description up to 280 characters.
That's right. Yes. Yep.
So that's useful too as well. And remember, this is all being saved to the cloud. So if you share this document with somebody else who has InDesign, they can view the version history there as well, and they can work on it in the cloud.
Which could be good or bad, depending on
it could be good or bad.
If you want them to see the history.
It's true. What's supposed to happen is that you can't have more than one person working on the same cloud document at once.
Right.
So if I'm working on it, David, and I share it with you, and you try to open it right away, it'll say, you cannot open this. Anne-Marie is currently working on it. It's locked.
Actually, talk about how to share, because that's an important thing. So you've got the document open, and you're like, oh, David needs to work on this next. And how do you share that with me?
Well, that I'm not sure of. I have to double check. But you go to the Creative Cloud app, and you go to Files and find your file. So here I'm looking at one now. And then if I right-click on it, I can choose Share. So you see little thumbnails of all your cloud documents in the Your File section of Creative Cloud apps. I wish that there was a way we could do this from within the application itself.
No, I think that the Share button inside the application, the blue Share button, if you have a cloud doc open,
you think? Really?
You can do it directly from within the application.
Wow!
So
I didn't know that.
That is I think that's the primary, because they have, like in the file menu, there's Share for Review, there's all those other things. But if you have that open, the Share document, that does do a Share for Review.
It's Share for Review.
Oh, crap. Am I wrong about that? That won't let you share at all? Wait. I thought I was being so clever.
No, yeah, I think that you're wrong with that.
Oh, wait.
What? Go ahead.
I'm back.
You
I'm back.
Okay.
I got it again. File menu, invite to edit. I knew there was something in there.
Oh, thank you.
File menu, invite to edit.
Right. So if you want to share something, don't look for something that says share.
No.
Because that would be too direct and simple. Look for File, Invite to Edit,
yes.
Because that is the prime difference between Share for Review and Share the Document.
Yes.
So when you choose Invite to Edit, you get a little dialog box that appears underneath the Share menu, I believe, and it says Share Document.
Now, what you're noticing, everyone listening or watching right now, is that Anne-Marie and I are obviously we don't do a lot of sharing of our documents with other people. And it's not because we're antisocial. It's because it's a really clunky system. I think it's a really clunky system. It's just, I don't know, it feels just not well thought out.
Well, yes. I mean, like this exact example, you'd think that if anybody would know how to share a document, it would be you and I, since we've been working with InDesign for so long. But we're not quite sure where you go to share it and what is the command. And then what happens. It's so ridiculous that when you choose Invite to Edit, you don't get a dialog box that says Invite to Edit. You get a dialog box that says Share Document, and it appears right underneath the blue Share button, where you would usually go to Share for Review. Does that make any sense?
It makes no sense. But even more important, as everyone knows, when people are making changes, they often will go, I think I'll just do a save as. I'm going to do the save as version B, and I'm going to save that over here on my hard drive. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
You have one version, and I've got another there's another version in the cloud. There's all these versions that don't know about each other. And I just feel like they need to kind of lock it down a little bit more. Like if I send a document for you to share, you should not be able to take that and run with it in a different direction. You know?
I would think so. When you do a save as, it just makes a copy of the document in your cloud space. Which would be true for, like, if you shared a document with me and I chose Save As, it would make a copy of the document in my cloud space and not in your cloud space.
Okay.
Right? Because we can't share the cloud spaces.
Right.
So we still have individual silos there, and it also wipes out the version history once you do a Save As.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
And, as I said earlier, people are used to saving to their own hard drives. And so oftentimes when you're sharing documents, people's initial take will be, I'm just going to save this to my hard drive because that's what I do. So I just feel like they're getting there. Look, the thing about Cloud Docs is it's not a 1.0 version. Like a year ago, we were like, okay, watch out. Let's be careful with this. It's definitely not at 2.0. But I really like what you said in that video that you did for LinkedIn Learning recently. We'll put a link to that. But this is a 1.5. We're getting
It's a 1.5 feature. It's getting there.
It's getting there. So I like this ability to save documents to the cloud so I can move them I can use them wherever I am on the planet, maybe off planet, I don't know. But wherever I am, I can use the document because it's sitting in the cloud. I like that. But I'm not convinced about the whole sharing thing yet.
No, right. It's too fragile, and it's too
fragile. That's a good word.
it's too fragile. It's if you have two people that really know what they're doing, then it's quite useful. People ask all the time, how can I share my InDesign documents so somebody else can work on a couple pages? Well, you can use Layout Zone, the free plugin from Automatication, but you could also possibly use this, that I could have the document, I could save it to the cloud, I could share it with you. You can edit it while I work on something else, and then when you're done, I can open it from the cloud, and then you've edited it. So is that any better than me attaching the InDesign file or the IDML file to an email and sending it to you? That's debatable.
Or like you said earlier, Dropbox. Just save it in Dropbox, which almost everybody on the planet has now. Save it in Dropbox, share the thing, have to edit it, save it, you come back. Anyway, there are other options out there for sharing those documents.
Right.
Plenty of other options. I encourage you to continue thinking about those for now. Because, going back to, again, referring back, the end game is potentially very exciting with this. Yeah. But Adobe has to take this one step at a time. They had to do Cloud Docs before they allowed sharing. And they have to do sharing before they allow what they're now doing with Photoshop in private beta currently, this whole simultaneous collaborative editing.
Right.
That's where we're going, I assume. And
that would be so uber cool. For me to be able to see an icon of you editing some sort of, text frame or sidebar while I'm importing a picture on my side. And then as we're updating, we see each other's edits all the time, and it's saving versions just like Google Docs does. That would be sweet.
It would either be sweet or it would be true hell. I don't know. Depending on who I'm editing with. True. Can you imagine you're doing simultaneous editing, and someone's like doing local formatting on all the text, and they don't use paragraph styles at all? And it's not just that you see them in real time not using paragraph styles. How horrible! I'm getting all upset just even thinking about watching somebody do that. It's too bad.
And it's not like I like InDesign and InCopy. That workflow, as one reason is because you can protect elements in your InDesign file from the other person editing them.
Yes.
The InCopy user can't edit, can't change page sizes or bring in their own frames or edit frame sizes. All they can do is edit the contents of text frames, and only the contents of text frames that you gave them permission to.
Yes.
So if you don't want them to edit the table of contents or the headline or the masthead, you just don't share it with them. They see it, but they can't edit it. And I would love to see InDesign InCopy in the cloud. That's what everybody's waiting for, I think.
Right.
And we're not near that yet at all.
No, that's a great point, and I think I don't know. We'll see if that happens, but I think that it would be a great thing. Now there are third-party tools that do some of that, and I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but there are tools. Santa Cruz Software has some branding stuff where basically you could create your templates and then you hand it off to somebody else, and you tell them very specifically what you can change and what you can't. It's kind of locked down. There's a number of other tools out there, but but that's a separate thing. Let's not go down that. Anyway, Cloud Docs, super powerful. Glad that Adobe's going down this road.
And I encourage people to try it. If you haven't saved anything to the cloud yet, take 15 minutes and open up, an old publication that you did and save it to the cloud, and then see what happens. See what it looks like in your Creative Cloud app. Look at the cute little cloud icon. Check out the version history panel to see what that does.
Yes.
You might find uses for this in certain projects along the road.
I absolutely 100% agree. Try it out. Just try it. Just get in the habit of trying it. And I love that you mentioned the Creative Cloud app. It lives in the Creative Cloud app, and it also lives on the web, right? You can also see the stuff at is it assets.adobe.com?
I think it is, yeah.
Anyway, you can find it. If you log in there, you can get the same thing. So you can actually see it on the web, even if you don't even have InDesign on a computer. You can still get access to these things. You can't edit it.
That's correct.
You can maybe someday. That'd be cool.
You can view it. You can comment on it. I mean, even if you're on somebody's computer that doesn't have, the Creative Cloud installed any of the apps, you can log into your Creative Cloud space on the web and see your InDesign documents or your Photoshop or Illustrator files that you've saved to the cloud and see what people have commented. So it could be useful that way.
I think people should try it out. Okay, that's awesome. So INDDC, the InDesign Cloud document file format.
Right.
All right. Now you know.
Okay.
So, so Anne-Marie, while you were gone, I
Yes.
snuck in an interview with,
Okay.
because you were out for a couple weeks,
Right.
I snuck in this interview with Eugene Woo from Venngage.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to sneak that in here. Eugene couldn't be here today, and you couldn't be there then. So we're
Okay.
through the magic of editing. Go. Welcome, Eugene Woo from Venngage, CEO of Venngage, to InDesign Secrets. So good to have you here.
Thanks a lot, David. My pleasure.
I am really curious about what Venngage has been doing over the number of years now. I mean, you've been around 15 something years, and this idea of allowing people to make infographics started out really early, right? There's this idea of, hey, we could help give people the tools that they lack to make infographics quickly. Was that the genesis of the idea?
Yeah, the genesis actually came from infographic resumes. Like 15 years ago, it was a thing. I don't know if anyone remembers this.
Yeah.
There's this visual resume, and you would have to use Illustrator or something fairly complicated to create these infographics. And I thought, yeah, I'll just code up a site, that can graph some of these things like number of years, build a timeline, have a few templates.
Okay.
And that was the genesis of Venngage, essentially. It came, it's what felt like a long time ago. But some of that, some of the graphing and the layouts were, if you were to do it manually, you needed pretty much a fairly high skill set. And that's why, so we built the first version of Venngage, which was called Visualize Me. It was specifically only for resumes,
Okay.
for visual or infographic resumes. And then that sort of evolved into this all-purpose design tool. So we do a lot more than infographics now. We do pretty much all kinds of designs.
Like what? I've seen charting. There's a lot of charting tools you have.
Yeah. So infographics, charts, it's still our core niche, but we do simple designs from posters to
Okay.
a lot of document type design. So that's where I think the InDesign audience comes in. So we do things like proposals, plans, reports, like
Wow.
annual reports,
Okay.
monthly reports, especially things that have data in it, because
Mhm.
that's where we shine. So we have a lot of components, like very nicely designed components that you can just, it's like having a design component library, plug it into your design. And we have a lot of data visualization widgets that, instead of drawing out, using vectors, you are actually using a charting type tool to draw it out.
Okay. Well, and it seems like, most of your audience is going to be people who don't have Adobe Illustrator or InDesign or some of these tools. But it does feel like a lot of these actions, these things that you're enabling people to do, would be helpful for professional designers as well, people who are using PowerPoint or InDesign or something like that. Because we all, sooner or later, need to take data or complex ideas and form them into compelling imagery.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. Like to be honest, Venngage was designed for someone with, I would say, very low design skills, a non-professional designer.
Sure.
I was the target audience. I'm not a professional designer.
Great.
But having said that, we have many users who are designers, and it's because it just allows designers to use something very, very quickly, design something like a chart or an infographic very easily, and they can kind of export it and plug it back into their own designs in either, in any other tool that they want. And that's a fairly common use case. People use this. I would say the more common use case they use this and put us into a slide deck. So whether it's PowerPoint or something else.
Yep.
But yes, we also have folks who also take us into the Adobe suite, like an InDesign.
Okay, that is really helpful to know. So you're also doing, especially over this past couple of years, a lot in AI. I mean, you've just really jumped right headfirst into the AI, Gen AI world. Is that right?
Yeah. So, AI is, kind of booming. Although we started AI years ago, before LLMs was a thing.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't really work out that well. We were kind of doing very basic AI,
Okay.
generative AI. But obviously with today's, generative AI tools, we built a set of mini mini design tools. So anything from like a logo generator to obviously, infographic generator to more complex things like a report generator. So multi-page reports,
Wow.
proposals, plans.
Wow.
And it uses a combination of templating and obviously templating and generative design to change the layouts, to fit content into it. So it writes the content for you, and puts it all in. And it's completely editable. So that's the advantage of using Venngage for things like that. Everything is editable. Like every single layer, every single element is editable. You're not just getting an image. If you go
Okay.
to an image generation tool, you'll just get a static image, and
Right.
there's no way to edit anything in that image, right? So
Right. Okay, that is super helpful to know. And you're also doing things like, I mean, can you feed in data? Can you just say, hey, here's my spreadsheet. I need to make some sense out of this. I need to make some meaning from this.
yeah, you can fit in a spreadsheet. You can just cut and paste, like a wall of text,
Okay.
and depending on the tool. So we've got like some graphing, like chart generate AI tools that will allow you to upload a chart. Upload a CSV or an Excel file,
Okay.
and it will chart it out. It will give you some snippets of code, and in our infographic AI tool, if you give it some numbers, we'll sort of highlight those numbers, annotate some of it, and kind of spit out this infographic. It's still, we're still improving it, but as you know, like the improvements are very quick. Like it's the LLMs are very, really smart. They're getting smarter like every week, it seems.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very clearly. I mean, one of the factors whenever we get into the discussion around AI, one of the questions that come up is around privacy. I mean, this is my company data or my government data or whatever.
Right.
Are there any issues there I need to be watched out for?
I mean, I don't think so because as you know, like if we use OpenAI, they don't store your data.
Okay.
It's as soon as that session is done, that data is it's wiped out.
It is.
So
Okay.
yeah, and from our end, yes, the data it is stored in your design, but that's private. That's for your own use.
Okay. Okay. And you have your own privacy issues, privacy walls and so on that
Yeah, of course.
people
Yeah,
can't get
we've got
into.
fairly. We've been around. Like I said, we've been around for many, many years. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
a well hardened site. We probably have a tax. I don't know, on the monthly or as you know, if you run a
Yes.
fairly
Yes.
big. So we run a fairly big site with
Yep.
millions of visitors per month. It's a fairly big site, so
Yep.
we're pretty hardened from a security point of view. So
That's important.
I wouldn't be worried about the privacy on the AI side. At least I for now I wouldn't be worried about it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's such an important point. But I appreciate you going into that. Now you have different levels. Actually, before I ask about that, I just wanted to mention one of the things that you've gotten really well known for in the industry is accessibility. That so
Mhm.
many other tools out there are just really cruddy when it comes to creating accessible graphics, and that seems to be something that you started much earlier than most other companies. That seems to be a core thing for you?
Yeah, I would say we are the leaders as far as accessible design is concerned. So we're talking about like graphic design.
Yeah.
Um, our tool is probably the best tool if you want to make something accessible in a sort of a layout type design, right? That's not a document.
Yep. Yep.
It's not something beyond just like words, right? Where you have actual like design elements and visual elements in it. So we started it, like three. Where are we now? 2021, almost now 4 years ago. Yeah. So
Okay.
so yeah, like it's 2025 now. So we started it way early. We were rebuilding our platform, so we rebuilt Venngage 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the key principles that we had was we would make the platform accessible and we would make the outputs accessible. So we would make, whatever you exported in PDF
Yeah.
or in HTML accessible so that, everyone can read or can easily consume the content. And it was not, I would say, very popular. We saw that most people,
Hmm.
I mean, even Adobe, like it's you have to use a lot of plugins. It's
Oh.
and certainly
Yeah.
certainly all the other design tools have very bare minimum accessibility, and it requires a fair amount of remediation. So the industry speak is called remediation, which means you're literally fixing the file after you've designed it. Yep. And so our concept was like that, that's a waste of time. And it is a waste of time because you're kind of like redoing the design again, retagging it, doing a bunch of stuff. And you can address all of this up front if you built the proper software to do it. And so that's what we did. We sort of we address all of the design. We address, I would say, all the major accessibility requirements up front, and we give users tools to properly, tag their documents, properly put in alt text, order them properly. And then obviously the outputs, then sort of reflect that because we built it that way. So yes, I would say we are very well known for accessibility because we actually spent a lot of our time on it, and we built a platform to be accessible.
Well, I think that's where I learned about Venngage first was because there's all these tools out there. Canva, of course, the giant of the international giant Canva, where people would say, hey, I'm using it, it's so easy. And then it's like, oh, it has no accessibility, or like you said, minimal accessibility. And so it's like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And somebody said, oh, well, you should check out Venngage. Probably Chad Chelius and Dax Castro, who we've worked with for many, many years on our events and the Design and Accessibility Summit. It was like, oh yeah, well, you just got to, don't you know, doesn't everybody know about Venngage? And so I thought, wait a minute, no, not everybody knows about it. And they really should. So I feel like it's such a good thing that you're doing in the world to help in this way. So kudos for that. Now, one of the other things that you're doing is, of course, letting teams work together, right? And this is a major factor. You're focused on teams, enterprise, typically larger enterprise teams. And so how does that work if you've got, let's say, a design team, maybe you've got a couple designers working over here and you've got a bunch of other people who need to work with that data. Can they all work with this stuff together?
Oh yeah. So I would say Venngage is really built for, especially with the accessibility features that we have. A lot of our client base are, as you would imagine, like higher ed, so universities, community colleges, government agencies in all levels. And, they're fairly big. And so we allow essentially workflows and processes in our tool. We have an enterprise. So we have everything from an individual user, which is you could get started literally in like 30 seconds, to an enterprise account where if you are a larger, college or university, you could have multiple workspaces in there. And in each workspace, you could have multiple teams. So there's all these levels of groups that you can have, and within them, we allow you to have permissions between the smaller teams, within the larger workspace. You can have multiple workspaces. So yes, it's very, very. It's sort of like a Google, if you've ever had Google or Team, or Microsoft Teams. Sure. Very similar sort of organizational structure, and you can collaborate and share your designs in there. And I would say if an organization has certain workflows and templates, especially the requirements around accessibility, what we advise and what we help teams do is, if you're a university, we would create a whole bunch of templates for you for all your needs, anything from a poster to social media to important reports, and then have your team use it. So and that. As if you have a template, it kind of saves time, and it ensures that you're not, breaking the accessibility, branding, and all of that other stuff that the university or the organization has.
I love that. I really appreciate you just bringing this attention. So much of what we try and do with InDesign Secrets and Creator Pro in general is just connect people to solutions that they might not otherwise know about. And so I really feel like you've got such an important solution for the design community. Yes, granted, many of the people are going to be the non-designers, but the fact that they can partner with designers, and designers can create these templates, designers can create the branding that can get uploaded, designers can be such an important part of that process, I think is just really important. So I appreciate you taking the time to share these ideas and introduce our community to Venngage. So great work.
No, yeah. Thanks a lot. And I would add, I almost forgot, we recently launched forms.
Oh.
So accessible forms. I think InDesign folks probably do a fair amount of forms. Yeah. And accessibility in forms is a huge issue. It's fairly difficult and complex to get forms when you export them to PDFs to be accessible. So we recently released forms. I think it's about a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And so again, it's just a much easier way to get out forms in an accessible format, and where you can export it in PDF, and it'll be fine. You don't have to hire a remediator. So that's the one thing I would say that might be of interest to your.
That's huge. I did not know about that. So I learned something today. That is awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Eugene, so much for taking the time to be with us today. This has really been a pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, David. Appreciate it. Cool.
Okay.
That was excellent.
It was really interesting learning about like the story of Venngage and what they're trying to do. And yes, even though much of their work is probably not relevant for professional design, some of it I really believe is. I do believe that some of the work they're doing with charts and graphs and infographics, it's a pain in the butt to make those things. Yeah. And so if you can get an AI or their system to automate that, and you can download it and use it, why not? Try it out. Right. I think it's worth trying out. So
that's cool. When I saw it, I said, "Woo! Oh yeah, Eugene Woo." Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to mention the last name.
You had to get that in there.
I had to get that in.
All right.
All right. So in news. Our new Creative Pro website design is about to go live. David, you're in charge of that. When do you think that's going to happen?
Any moment now. We have been working on this thing for way too long. It's coming together. We're fine-tuning it, getting all the tweaks in there. I think it's going to be by Pi Day. I mentioned Pi earlier, 314.
Okay.
So March 14th.
Okay.
I'm going to put a stake in the ground.
Okay.
A very soft stake. I hope by March 14th.
We're recording this in February, so by the time we record in March, should be live.
It should be live. It's so pretty. It's so nice.
Good,
my gosh. It's great. So, so website, that's pretty exciting.
Okay.
What else?
Well, in the next couple of weeks, we have an online conference, the Design and Presentation Conference.
Right. Also Pi Day. That's also March 12th through 14th. That's going to be good. If you do anything with PowerPoint, Google Slides, Keynote, any of these tools, especially PowerPoint and Google Slides, you have to be there. Seriously. Just presentation design is such an important part of people's world. And most designers don't like it. They don't, and the reason they don't like it is because they don't understand it well. So
and they think it's boring. I mean, every time I see somebody do slides, and I see a lot of slides and a lot of Zoom presentations, even people from Adobe, and there's bullet. I'm like, chunk it. You know, I mean, have they never seen anything from the Presentation Design Conference where, instead of 3 bullets, you make 3 different slides, each one with some information about each bullet, something chunking, that's, just do that.
Just do that. So learn about chunking, learn about other storytelling and presentation design skills, and also just tips and tricks. How do you use PowerPoint better? How do you get cool animations that draw in your audience, that tell the story? How do you do all that stuff? You learn by coming to the Design and Presentation the Design and Presentation Design Conference. So, that's actually written wrong in our script, isn't it? It's called the Presentation Design Conference.
Oh, okay.
And I actually wrote it wrong in here. Sorry about that.
All right.
Presentation Design Conference, March 12th through 14th. You can learn more at creativepro.com/events. Use CP Secrets. Please, if you're going to sign up, use the code CP Secrets and you get $100 off Creative Pro Secrets, right? So CP Secrets. Or if you're a member of Creative Pro, even better, you get $125 off. You can't combine those, but you can get even more off if you're a member of Creative Pro. So check that out.
Cool.
Excellent. What else?
All right. What else?
Oh, and since I'm on events, you know me, I have to keep time out events.
Of course.
Creative Pro Week is coming up first week of June in Phoenix, Arizona, and online. Creative Pro Week is live now. The whole agenda is up there. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. and Anne-Marie and I will be there.
Yes, we will.
Come on down and join us in Phoenix. It's going to be an amazing show. And, of course, at the end of the year, we've got the InDesign conference.
Yeah.
And look, that's in December. You got a little bit of time, but it's all online. That's going to be an online event. If you love InDesign,
which you do because you're listening to this thing. I mean, who listens to a podcast about InDesign? Only InDesign freaks like you and I.
That's right.
And David. Yes.
That's right. So if you need to be at this event, the InDesign conference, where we're going to have 4 days of in-depth training and exploration of InDesign. It's going to be awesome.
We're going to have 5 sessions on quick apply alone. No, exactly. I'm exaggerating. Yes,
it's going to be great.
Okay.
It's going to be great. Anyway, so that's a bunch of stuff that's going on and stuff that's going to be coming up. So take note. Take note.
I feel an absence of a new dot version of InDesign when we're going over news. Has there not been anything new, I don't think, in the past 4 weeks?
Yeah, 20.1 came out whenever that came out, and I
think that's it.
That's it.
Okay, good.
That's okay.
20.1. Exactly. We can get used to it. All right, time for the obscure feature of the week. Geek. And that is reset preferences on Quit. Now, I just learned about this maybe a couple months ago.
Not funny.
When somebody was, talking in the InDesign, one of the InDesign forums that we have, and they said, I need to, somebody suggested you should reset your preferences. And I was about to start typing in, yes, make sure to quit, and then hold down the keys, and blah, blah, blah. The guy says, yeah, just choose reset preferences on Quit from the preferences dialog box. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that feature doesn't exist. That doesn't. It does.
When did they add that?
They added it almost a year ago. I think it was like March or April or something of 2024 for that version. They snuck it in there. Not only did we not know about it, but even James Wamser in his new features.
Oh, really?
It's not even in his thing. So It's like Adobe put this out there and then just forgot to tell everyone about it.
And they have no idea how important it is for every InDesign user to be able to reset preferences, since it's such a great troubleshooting step.
So, this is semi-controversial. You and I agree on this. You and I agree that when stuff goes wrong, like one of the most common things is you open a panel in InDesign and it's blank. It's like, what happened to the feature? Or things just go wonky. Some stuff goes wrong in InDesign sometimes. And you and I have learned over the past 20 plus years, one of the best ways to solve that is to reset the whole application preferences.
Right.
And you were mentioning that the way we've always done this is you hold down on the Mac, Command, Option, Control, plus
Shift,
everything. Basically just...
You hold it all down while the program is booting up.
Yes.
Until you get the dialog box. Delete InDesign preferences?
Right.
Yes, which is the same thing as saying reset InDesign preferences.
Right. But
because otherwise, the preferences file is buried deep in your user settings.
Really hiding.
So that's why using the keyboard shortcut was such a wonderful thing to know.
But the shortcut, what I found, a lot of people would start InDesign and then go, okay, what was it? Command, Option. And while it's starting, so that you missed your chance. It had to be, you start it and immediately hold down all the so there was this whole crazy thing about how to do this. It's always been really kind of difficult, and it's basically kept us in business because our job has been telling people how to reset preferences.
Right.
Not really. But it's always been really difficult. And now Adobe goes and makes it incredibly easy and then doesn't tell anybody about it. So it's so easy now. You don't have to remember any of those keyboard shortcuts. You don't have to get the timing down. All you have to do is, as Anne-Marie just said, you open the preferences dialog box. At the very bottom, there's a little button that says reset preferences on Quit. And then you close the dialog box,
in the general panel, the first one that appears.
And then you
reset preferences on Quit next to reset all warning dialogs, which makes sense.
Yeah.
To put it there. So when you choose reset preferences on Quit, it doesn't automatically reset. You get a little warning. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes, please. Say OK.
Yeah.
And then click OK in the panel, and it's not going to reset your preferences. Now, if you went ahead and said, yes, reset preferences on Quit, you can't change your mind. You can't go back and say, no, I didn't mean to do that. Now your preferences are going to be reset. which is kind of a pain because that means you have to redo all the application preferences that you like what color background and what are the increments of the rulers and other settings like that.
Turning on all the options, the leading, making sure your leading is applied to the entire paragraph and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, that leads me to another tip, though. I think it's an important tip, which is you mentioned earlier that all those preferences are down deep inside of a folder or with Mac or Windows. They're saved someplace. You can back those up.
That's
you
true.
can actually go and find that file, back it up somewhere, and then later reset your preferences, and then just take your backup and throw it in there.
Now, I have a question here.
Yeah.
What is the difference between that and choosing export user settings from the file menu?
Okay, so there's a better way to do it other than going into that folder.
I don't know.
This whole podcast is full of us having an idea and then going, wait a minute, there's a better way to do it. Yes, no, that is the way to do it. So before you can back it up. You can back up your preferences by going to, where's that?
It says user settings. It's under the file menu.
Yeah.
There's a user file info and then user settings with the flyout. Import user settings, export user settings.
That's what you do. See, that's why there's two of us, because one of us is going to always remember something. So you export, go to the file menu, export your user settings, which includes preferences. It actually includes more than preferences. It includes your workspaces and your keyboard shortcuts and all kinds of stuff. You can export your user preferences, then use the preferences, reset preferences on quit, come back, and then load the preferences back in under the file menu. That's the way to do it. Thank you.
I think so. Hang on a minute, because it says user settings. It doesn't say user preferences. Oh, you've done it. It works?
It does, because it saves your preferences. It's user settings because it's preferences plus workspace and menus and all the other kinds of stuff.
I see. So then after you import it, you get restart now. And yeah, that worked perfectly. Now my background is at the brightest, the lightest one that I like. So there you go.
So these things can work in parallel. Yep, I think that's okay. So it's kind of sad that Adobe made it so easy to reset your preferences that anybody could do it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's, that's progress, right?
And we have to update that article. I believe last time I checked, the most popular, most often read article on CreativePro.com for a long time, at least while it was InDesignSecrets, was that one that I wrote way back in 2006 about how to reset preferences when they get corrupt.
That's right.
And I made a joke about corrupt politicians in Chicago in the first paragraph, I think.
Oh, jeez.
And that was the one that most people found. You could find it by Googling it really easy, reset preferences, and that'll be the one that comes up. Now we have to rewrite it, and hopefully by next year, a couple years at this time, nobody will need to look at it because the commands are right there in the program, in the file menu and in the preferences dialog box.
We will get that updated right away.
Yeah.
Right away. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, that is so. I guess that's it for episode 328. Mm-hmm. Be sure to check out our notes on the blog at creativepro.com/podcasts, where we're going to have links to all the stuff we talked about. We'd love to hear what you thought about the show, so please go ahead and leave a comment in the notes there. Maybe even in our brand new website design. That'd be exciting. Mm-hmm. Or you could go to InDesignSecrets on the on InDesign on Facebook or LinkedIn, because we've got groups in both places, and you can leave a note there. So let us know or ask questions or whatever. I think that's it. Until we meet again, this is David Blatner and
Anne-Marie Concepción for InDesignSecrets.